Welcome in America. The Sweet 16 is set, and how sweet it is.
Oh, man. Honestly, last night I left here, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to sleep after that game, and I feel very similarly tonight. I am fired up. Thank you, Arizona. Thank you, TCU.
We just got done watching TCU and Arizona go to overtime. A wild ending to regulation. One of the craziest sequences. Mike Miles is trapped. Coloco, I think there was a ball screen. I can't remember the circumstance, but Coloco gets put on him and is like, you know what? I'm just going to stay on you.
Yeah, trap him.
They end up trapping him. Panics, brings it back to half court, gets fouled.
TCU fans, I would say he got hip checked.
I would say he got hip checked. Flopped a little bit though.
But would they call it in the first half? Yes, they would have.
They would have called it in the first half.
So,
but I also, God, that's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think what ultimately happened ended up being a wash. I think that was good. Like if Arizona would have won on that, I would have been irate as a TCU fan.
I agree.
But if
we got 5 minutes of basketball to decide who actually was going to win this game.
But if you would have bailed a guy out who was very clearly panicking from being trapped and then flopped, he definitely flopped.
Which also would have been bad for Arizona.
That would have been bad for Arizona.
Sour taste in their mouth. So we get 5 minutes and we figured it out.
I think it worked out well. Eddie Lampkin was unreal in this game, and this was, boy, what a great
Charles O'Bannon Jr. 4 steals in this game, 5 blocks. It was the juniors versus Arizona, and we worried a little bit, or we talked about last night about Arizona. They're a little green.
Yep.
This is their first tournament, experience. Obviously, they're a 1 seed, but they had to, they got their feet to the fire tonight, and they saw what it was like to go up against a physical Big 12 team, and they survived.
Right. They got that, as I said last night, I mean, they're Gonzaga light, or they might be better than Gonzaga. I don't know, but obviously Tommy Lloyd's trying to emulate what Mark Few built when he was there with him and bring it to Tucson, and that's great. That's a huge reason why Arizona, I believe, is the best team in the country, or at least has been throughout the season. The bad part is much the same way we saw in Gonzaga in the first half against Memphis, against a very physical team that likes to crash the glass. That was a problem for Arizona all night. It's going to be a problem, by the way. I mean, we can save the discussion for
26 offensive rebounds for TCU.
26.
And I think there may have been more.
We can save the discussion for the end of the show, the Sweet 16, like forecasting those matchups. But if I'm Arizona and I come out of that TCU game that goes into overtime and you give up 26 offensive rebounds, and you look up, what was it, 26?
26.
Oh, my God.
I mean, they out-rebounded them 55-46 overall, but 26 offensive rebounds.
If I'm Arizona and I get done with the TCU game, I take a deep breath. We pop the champagne bottles that were onto the Sweet 16, and then I look up and I see Houston waiting for me.
Yeah, you're like, okay, finally, we're done with a very physical team that loves to crash the glass. Wait a second, we're playing Houston.
We get done with the best offensive rebounding team in the country. Now we get like the second best.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong?
I know it's tough, but maybe they learned a lesson in this game. And like we said, I mean, Arizona, they needed to feel what it was like to be in the tournament. They thought that this game was a regular season game because they got up. We even had on set, we were like, I think that's game. And I think Arizona at one point thought that was game with about 6 minutes to go. TCU never quit in this game. They had a lot of belief. And the fact that Jamie Dixon, gets the first win since 1987 in the first round. TCU was a laughingstock of basketball.
Not to me. Remember TCU beat SMU.
Yeah.
In the America's Next Great Rivalry
yes.
that we were at, and I became a TCU fan. So to me, this was
expected.
As expected.
But
first reported on Titus.
In 2016, when he went to TCU, Jamie Dixon, obviously his alma mater, but there was a lot of people that were like, will they ever even make a tournament with this guy?
TC who?
Yes.
I believe was the headline. I don't know. I just made that.
Gone to the NIT a couple times, gone to the NCAA tournament a couple times. Obviously gets the first win, like I said, in the first round since 1987. So from TCU side of things, congratulations, right? I mean, you have overachieved, and, I mean, hang the banner. You took a 1 seed, to the brink, and in regulation, you were tied.
Hang the banner. Should have made the Sweet 16 if the foul was called, but also Mike Miles flopped, so it's kind of a wash, but also it definitely was a foul. So I put all that on a banner, hang it in the
We
arena.
joke about a Sweet 16, like how much significance does it really have? But if TCU made the Sweet 16, that would be front and center.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that'd be a big deal.
It would be a huge deal.
But also, is a Sweet 16 a big deal? Because it is not all Sweet 16s are equal.
Yeah, they're
not all paths to the Sweet 16 are equal. Not all programs value Sweet 16s the same. But I do.
Michigan values them heavily. If you don't respect Michigan, they made 5 straight Sweet 16s. Get over it. They did it.
Big Ten stat of the day. Michigan 5 straight Sweet 16s. I love this time of year because every single team that has made the Sweet 16. I don't know how this happens, Tate. It's a wild coincidence, but every single coach that has found himself in the Sweet 16 is a coach that has had to overcome insane adversity all season.
Yes.
You would not believe the adversity that this coach has had to overcome.
Jawan Howard comes to mind.
And also, on top of that, not only has he overcome great adversity, if I'm starting a program and you tell me I need to hire one coach, I'm hiring the coach that just won the game I just watched.
Yes.
That's the coach I'm hiring.
If you're starting a program, you have to hire Tommy Lloyd. There's no question.
Because that was the game we just watched.
Yes.
But also, if you just watched the Houston-Illinois game, you have to hire Kelvin Sampson.
If you start a program in college basketball and you don't hire Jay Wright, what are you doing?
Right.
Yes.
And that and also Shaheen Holloway, hire him. Also.
How could you not?
He's number one on.
Why would you overlook a guy of that caliber and that talent?
With the adversity he faced this year?
And when you look at Mick Cronin, you can do that all day.
It's a great Sweet 16, man.
Yeah.
The West is chalk. Gonzaga, Arkansas, Texas Tech, Duke. The East is chaos a little bit, but also you got it's a fun chaos because Carolina's a blue blood. So
yeah, UCLA's a blue blood.
Purdue is a blood, and St. Peter's Purdue has blood, and St. Peter's is a fun story, and we get to see what happens there. The Midwest, I think, is probably if we're talking ourselves into like fun stories, it's probably no disrespect, but at this point in the season, literally any word that comes out of your mouth, it's like, this isn't the greatest thing ever. Every single fan base takes as disrespect. But the Midwest is probably the region that's like the least sexy in terms of
Jason Sudeikis is running around his house, fist pumping in the air because Kansas is, if you look at this, the four remaining teams, if you're Kansas, you feel pretty good about your chances.
Yeah.
Not to say that they can get it done because that's not always the case, but you feel pretty good about it.
And then the South is gonna be awesome, man. That's gonna be battles. So that's that. Do you want to talk about some of these games today?
Yeah. Can we
talk about? I mean, Arizona, TCU. That was the one we just got done watching, as we said. I think we kind of hit everything. Benedict Mathurin. I'm sorry.
He does not like Ben.
Yeah.
Officially, don't say Ben.
Huge shot, huge three down the stretch. This was not that we didn't already know this, but this is Benedict Mathurin's team. He is the clutch performer for Arizona. He will continue to be the clutch performer. As much as my heart wants it to be Kerr Kriisa, I know he wasn't 100%, but Kerr Kriisa should know that he wasn't 100% at that sequence in overtime. When he shot 4, was it 3, 4, 5?
3 shots and 1 pump fake. So altogether, he threatened to take 4 shots.
How many?
None of them were threatening to actually go in.
How many theories does Kerr Kriisa put up before he's like, you know what, I'm going to stop at this point?
Never stops. And which goes back to my original point, FGAs. You got to respect FGAs.
He was 1 for 10.
He just keeps shooting. And we remember the UCLA game. He just kept shooting at UCLA.
Got to keep shooting.
Yeah.
But can't say enough great things about TCU. Chuck O'Bannon, Eddie Lampkin, Mike Miles. Those dudes are they're inspired. They really are. It is there are no such thing as moral victories, but at the same time there are such thing for some programs as moral victories, and this is definitely one of them. Because Arizona, again, to reiterate, I do believe that Arizona has throughout the course of the season been the best team and probably deserved to be the number 1 overall seed. And for TCU in San Diego, by the way, there was a pro Arizona crowd, a lot of U of A. That is great for their program and something they should be proud of. That again, they were. What did I say to put on the banner? We should have won.
Should have won. Should have gone to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
If they had called the foul, if they had the guts. What would you have done if you were Dalen Terry? Obviously, this is the most controversial play of the first round.
Trying to dunk at
the end, but you can, as you obviously are jumping up, you can see the clock winding down. It was a very Michael Jordan Space Jam moment where you wish you could just stretch your arm out and just drop it in. But he wasn't able to do that.
It's tough because, I mean, you're in that situation.
A lot of backseat drivers.
A lot of backseat drivers. A lot of what I would have done. A lot of what I had in my bracket was.
Yeah. Yes.
There were people tweeting, like, what I had in my bracket was Dalen Terry should have shot the layup.
Should have made it. Should have won a regulation.
Cool.
Yes.
Good job. Great bracket you had there.
Floater could have been an option.
I think I'm okay with what he did because I like to believe that what was going through his mind was 2 things. Dunking it is cool as shit. So if you dunk it at the buzzer, that's the coolest thing ever to win an NCAA tournament game and go to the Sweet 16 at the buzzer. You're dunking it. But also, he was probably thinking, it doesn't matter if I get the shot off if I don't make it. So I'm going to dunk it so we make it. And that's the most important thing. And then let the chips fall where they may. Because otherwise, you're throwing up the floater and you miss it and you get it off. Like part of it, because we do the revisionist history there too. Like if he the
everyone's like, why don't you just dunk it?
Why didn't you just dunk it? You had time.
There's a few people that say there's not enough time to dunk it, but they don't know that for
We
sure.
don't know that. We wouldn't know that.
All
You
I
would throw up a floater, it
Yeah.
would break off, and you're like, oh my God, dude, you had a wide open dunk and you didn't dunk it?
All
What were
I
you
saw
thinking?
in my mind was the slow motion of Patrick Ewing against the Pacers when he had the layup,
Oh, yeah.
and everyone's like, "Oh, he's gonna dunk it." But then they, did the slow mo and they break it down. They're like, "But his knees weren't the same, and Pat didn't get the same lift that he used to get." And then he, instead of going for the dunk, he fillets it over and goes for the finger roll, hits the back iron. So all I saw was Dalen Terry hitting the back iron. So that's why I give him credit for going to dunk, because he wanted the
I think it was the right
definitive
call.
sure thing. And at the end of the day, it gets done. So there you go, Arizona.
I think it was the right call. Congratulations to Arizona, but you better not celebrate long. I mean,
Yeah.
you better watch some tape and realize what's waiting for you, because Houston, Kelvin Sampson just took his shirt off again watching Arizona against
Yes.
TCU. He put his shirt back on after Houston won, and then he was watching that, and he's like, "That's who we play."
He said, "That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. That's our game."
Then we get naked again.
Yeah, we could do that.
Let's talk about the upset of the day.
Well, speaking of shirts being taken off, I mean, this is you're going to talk about Auburn, right?
Yeah, I wanna talk about Auburn.
It goes back to the shirt being taken
I
off.
want to talk about Auburn, and I know
Yeah.
a lot of people watching, a lot of people listening want us to talk about the Big Ten. Sorry, haters, Purdue won, so
So you're okay.
we're going to push the Big Ten discussion a little later in the show. For now, we have to talk about Auburn.
Put the
because-
SEC on Front Street.
Yeah, we're putting the SEC on Front Street. That Auburn was a team that Tate, how long ago? 2 months ago? Was it more recent than that? Was the number one team in the country for the first time ever.
Yep.
A man by the name of Jesse Newell. Special shout out to Jesse Newell, AP voter who voted Auburn. Was it like 14th or 9th or something when Auburn was waiting to become the number one team in the country?
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse Newell had him very, very, very low on his AP ballot. Got killed for it, like almost literally. Like was getting was getting death threats
Yeah.
from Auburn fans.
Yeah.
Auburn fans are losing their mind because Bruce Pearl, as we
'Cause
know,
it's football mentality too. Like, I mean, Auburn fans, they're treating
it's
this like football.
Dude, they're
Yeah.
they're new money at basketball. They
Yes.
they go to one Final Four. They think like
Because
we
in
run
football,
the
you
show.
can threaten lives.
Yes,
you
of
know?
course. That's what you do. That's part of the game. In fact, when you stand in front of the judge, you're like, Your Honor, it's college football, and he's like,
He's like, it's life or death. I get it.
I gotta let you walk.
Yeah.
I gotta. That's how this
It's
works.
basically a religion.
But this is not college football. It doesn't work that way,
Uh-huh.
and Auburn fans don't understand that. They're very.
It never will. and
They're
it's
very
okay.
new to the party. They don't
Yeah.
really get it.
Yeah.
And they killed Jesse Newell for it. And Jesse, if I'm Jesse Newell right now, I mean, I don't know.
I'm tweeting.
Probably, yeah. I'm fired off some tweets. I'm just sitting a lot of
Interesting.
very interesting because Auburn. Unlike now, I want to be fair to Auburn because I'll say this at the top to be fair to Auburn. Auburn was 5 for 26 from the 3-point line. Auburn had a very bad shooting night. This is something that I have. If you're a longtime friend of the program, listen to the show, you understand how much I believe in making shots. And this is a theme that we're seeing from teams that are getting upset over and over and over in this tournament. Tate, they're simply not making shots. That is a cardinal sin in the NCAA tournament. You have to make shots to
Have
advance.
to.
And these teams aren't doing it.
Mhm.
So I will give Auburn the benefit of the doubt. And
Shout out
say,
to Brad Underwood, who said after the game, we just didn't make shots.
we got the shots we wanted.
We got the shot. We got the looks.
We got the looks, all the looks.
And shout out to Coach Titus, who said, I'm tired of bringing in shooters to IU. I need makers.
I need makers.
And in the tournament, guess what you need, folks? You need makers, not takers.
Coach is saying we got good looks, we just didn't make shots is the best way to throw your team under the bus.
It's
They're
also-
basically saying like I did my job and I got these guys in the
Well,
right spot. They
It's
just didn't
called
execute.
plausible deniability, and it's one of the best abilities in coaching in college basketball.
Auburn. So I was giving Auburn a little bit of an excuse, a little bit of an out.
Yeah.
To say that Auburn going 5 for 26 is uncharacteristic.
It's an anomaly.
That's an anomaly, but you lost by 18. I don't think that ultimately made the difference. And the point I was going to get to, Tate, was that the way Auburn was upset was in such a manner, in such a way that you and I and anyone else who's been following Auburn all season saw coming from a mile away.
Yes.
That if Auburn was in fact not going to go on a Final Four run, if the bottom was going to fall out of the Auburn Tigers season, it was going to look exactly like it looked tonight.
Yes.
Where those guards are just like absolute chaos.
Mhm.
They Jabari Smith didn't have a great game. He didn't shoot the ball well, but I'm going to defend him as well. If I'm Jabari Smith, I'm putting up stupid shots left and right because I don't know when I'm getting the ball back.
Exactly. If Charlie Moore, who's the point guard of Miami, who's a great point guard, is on Auburn, Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith have great games or better games than they had. And we're having a conversation about the actual best players on this team. Katie Johnson and Wendell Green and Jasper. I mean, all these Auburn guards, they have the entire year. There has been this, air of confidence of we got this. And we even said when they were number one in the country, they need to lose a game. We got crushed. And, we were kind of just saying
They didn't need to lose this game. This was not the game we thought they should lose.
we thought that they should learn the lesson of what it feels like to lose a game and have it slip away
Well,
for fear of this happening in March. And Miami, by the way, was never pressed in this game, was
Oh my
never
God,
concerned
no.
about Auburn at all. And Auburn was behind the 8 ball from the jump. And shout out to Isaiah Wong, shout out to Cameron McGusty, shout out to Charlie Moore, who I just mentioned before. Those guys are guards, and McGusty's kind of a wing, but they settled the game down. They took good shots. They took what the defense gave them. They were patient. And then on the flip side, like you said, it's just chaotic. And what is I don't want to blame just the guards. The coaching.
You want to blame Bruce Pearl?
I do.
Let's do it. Let me crack my knuckles.
Yeah, because it's one
I've been waiting
thing
for this all season. Oh my God.
It's one thing to be a car salesman. It's another thing to actually get down and coach the game of basketball. And in this game, Jim Larinaga is obviously a great coach. He's done so much in March. We remember George Mason. We expect that from Jim Larinaga. He ran circles around Bruce Pearl today.
Yes, he did. And let me say this. I'm going to open with this. Last night, I went on a little bit of a rant. My emotions got the best of me when I was talking about Juwan Howard. And I want to be clear that, like, people aren't going to believe this. I don't actually hate Juwan Howard that much. I hate the media, the Michigan media mafia, the Illuminati that is Michigan, that that is running Adam Schefter putting out tweets, and you're like, what is good? Like the bizarre nature of the Kennedy Chandler hug, and the gets pushed to the moon, and everyone's like, we should make sure we see this as much as we saw when he struck him. Like that whole dynamic, the Juwan Howard adversity tour.
However many times you watched Juwan Howard strike that man, you watched this hug.
You must watch this. Like talking about Juwan Howard, like he was like one of the Duke lacrosse guys and was like falsely accused of something heinous. And like, I can't believe we drug his name through the mud. And now
I love
he's
that
like,
they have the Schefter tweet for us.
And now he's overcome. Like that's what I hate, and that's what drives me nuts about the Juwan Howard situation and all that. Bruce Pearl, I actually am a hater. Like Bruce Pearl is full blown. This guy.
I wouldn't even say you're a hater. Hater implies that like you're in the wrong a little bit. I mean, this guy deserves what he is getting.
This guy deserves everything that happened to him tonight.
He got hired when he had a show cause. I mean, that's impossible.
That's all you need to say.
That's something that used to be like when that would happen. Like with Will Wade, there's a lot of people that are like, no one's going to touch Will Wade ever again. Checks out. Makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what Bruce Pearl was under. Instead, he went to Auburn. He has now reinvented the wheel, so to speak, in college basketball. And tonight he got called on it.
Bruce Pearl has what drives me absolutely insane is that Bruce Pearl for the entire season had you want to talk about like media machines and all that. Bruce Pearl has somehow he has the entire college basketball, beyond college basketball, the entire freaking sports media out of the palm of his hand at all times. He comes in, he all shucks. He is, and it hit me. It hit me this week who Bruce Pearl is. I was watching Righteous Gemstones, and I was like, Bruce Pearl.
Great show.
Bruce Pearl is Jesse Gemstone. That's exactly who Bruce Pearl is. That he gets in front of the cameras and where y'all.
Let's pass that plate around.
Character counts.
We need some ties and offers. Pass that plate around. Do you believe in Auburn basketball?
Hey, man, y'all.
Do you believe in the number one pick? Do you like Cuba? Do you like Jabari? Come on.
And then the show ends and he walks behind the locker room and he's like, I'm gonna kill you all. What happened?
Yes.
That's who he is. And I feel like I'm going crazy. Illinois fans know because they remember like 1,000 years ago, and Auburn fans are like, that was 1,000 years ago. That was the old Bruce Pearl when he ratted out another coach and then proceeded to cheat at every single stop he's been at since then.
That's not the same guy.
That's not him. That's not the same guy. But that's what drives you crazy. Is like you're like, how is this guy getting away with this? How is even people who know who he is are like, I don't know, man. He's like, he's kind of young.
Yeah.
I know who he is, but like this is a banger. I like this song. I like this song.
I like what I'm hearing. Yeah.
And to see him lose by 18, it's so delicious. It really is. And I'm excited. And you're not gonna believe this. This is gonna sound insane, but I am I'm happy for Auburn people that it is cool to see like a program kind of rise from the ashes, and like you have people. You have Auburn fans who care about basketball that never cared about basketball 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it shows when you communicate with them and you have talks with them, but that's okay. The fact that they're so excited is great. The fact that they are firing off memes every time Auburn wins, all of that is great. We need more programs at the table getting excited about basketball. I will never, as long as I live, my promise to the American people, I will never, ever cheer for Bruce Pearl in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, I will celebrate him losing in the second round as enthusiastically as I did tonight every single time, because that man is right up there with Coach K. He's definitely above Juwan Howard. For as much as I went nuts last night, Bruce Pearl is unequivocally. Juwan Howard would have to strike at least 3 other men for me to
5
get
men.
above there.
He has to strike 5 men.
5 men
before he's on the same level. Look, I'll say this. The thing that really got me tonight is that you have 2 lottery picks on this team, and we can talk about the guards. We can put it on them, but you have 2 lottery picks. Texas A&M went small against these guys in the SEC tournament. Took Walker Kessler out of the game. The defensive player of the year should be, in my opinion, the player of the year, national defensive player of the year. Anyways, you've already seen this. They have it on tape. Someone goes small, they bring Walker Kessler out, they put him in ball screens. Texas A&M just did this to you. So you would think, hey, we watched the tape, we learned a lesson, we go to the tournament, we're going to be better for it. You can't get away with this again. Miami does the exact same thing to them. They have not learned a thing.
They never learned a lesson all year.
All
year.
But when we talk about Coach K's hubris, and a lot of people think that I will just point that out in him because I'm a Carolina guy. No. Hubris is it's everywhere. And
hubris is all around you.
Auburn has it just as bad as anybody. The fact that they thought that they were more talented and able to walk into this game, and it was going to be a cakewalk. And I personally did not think that Miami had much of a chance in this game on paper. But as soon as the game started, it was basically over from the jump.
When Isaiah Wong dunked on Jabari Smith, and then he was taking at Walker, the way Auburn's won is with their defense, obviously. Yeah. Having Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler and that
the rim protection,
those rim protectors. Yeah. It's not just that they block shots; it's that they alter shots. It's that the psychological effect of them being down there. And Isaiah Wong just
he was like, here's something for you. Bang.
He had the one finish over. He just went right at Walker Kessler and finished over him too. And I was like, this dude, that matters. The psychological part of that of Auburn's like, wait a second, this is not supposed to happen. You're supposed to be scared of us. You're supposed to.
And we talk about Kimba.
They were never scared whatsoever.
Isaiah Wong is a Kimba candidate, and he showed in this game. I mean, the ability. He's such a natural, gifted athlete. Anyway, that was the other part of the hubris of Auburn. It seemed to me that they were shocked at times by a McGusty doing something athletic. You know what I mean? It's like, who do you think you're playing against? You're in the NCAA tournament. They're not just going to gift you the game because you're better than them and that you have the seed next to you. Yeah. And that goes back to the hubris of this. And that attitude reflects leadership. And the leadership of this team is zilch.
I think they thought they had plot armor because the NCAA March Madness packages that Auburn granted access to CBS to film stuff behind the scenes, and I think they thought
Final Four.
Okay, if they're going to film stuff behind the scenes, they're surely going to push us to the Final Four, so they get a whole run out of this behind the scenes footage. Maybe that's what it was. They're like, we have plot armor. There's no way we can lose. What could possibly go wrong?
Much.
They were pressing. So I don't mean the press defense. I mean pressing is trying to force it.
They should have been pressing.
They were pressing.
That would actually be coaching. That would be something.
They were pressing the issue way too soon. They started panicking way too soon.
Yeah.
They just I don't know.
Well, people crushed Calipari, and not to bring it all back to Kentucky, but people crushed Calipari for saying, he's so bad in game. He didn't do anything against St. Peter's. He didn't make any adjustments. He didn't take Sheboy out. He didn't da-da-da-da. Do that to this guy.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
That's all we ask.
Because if Calipari, who I have a lot more respect for, is going to get that treatment, you have to do it to this guy. Because you have to. You have to. There's just no ifs, ands, and I could not believe that there was no moment of let's call a timeout and try to address this, shake some sense into our guys.
Yeah.
Hey, come here, KD. Stop shooting.
Stop.
How many 30-footers can we take? Are we going to run offense? I mean, this game was not out of hand. They were taking shots like it was.
This was like a parody game from Wendell Green. This was like if you've never watched Auburn and you've only listened to our show and you've heard us complain about Katie Johnson and Wendell Green, you're like,
there's no way
these two dudes are hamming this up. There's no way that Wendell Green is this bad. And then he shot how many shots from the logo tonight?
I don't know. and fading to his left. And what I would say to that is, I don't want to pile on those guys because it's not their fault. The fact that they can get away with it,
right?
It comes down to coaching.
It's coaching.
And that's what's shocking. I also want to point out Jim Larrañaga in his opening statement tonight. He said he tuned into the games before they started. He heard Charles Barkley tell the CBS crew that if Auburn won, he was going to take his shirt off, a la Kelvin Sampson. And then Larrañaga said, I thought to myself, no one wants to see that, Charles. So thank you so much, Jim Larrañaga. Mr. March I think
Mm.
he's getting the belt from me right now. He saved us from Charles.
No, that's what this time of year is about. Is like Jim Larinaga, a guy that no one has talked about
since 2006.
Yes, is now
or maybe 2013.
2013. Yeah.
2013. Okay.
Now all of a sudden, he's a guy that if I had to start a program tomorrow,
if I had to start a program, it would be Jim Larinaga. And in fact, I would hire Jay Larinaga, his son from the Celtics, to be my coach in waiting because I'd want the whole family to be there.
Can you believe it? We lasted this long without talking about Duke, but now it might be time. I think that's the next game on the list, right? Or do you have more Auburn, Miami thoughts?
No, I think we're done. Congratulations to Miami.
I mean, it segues nicely because we go from talking about Miami's win to Duke's win, and maybe you have broader thoughts about the ACC as a whole.
Yeah,
I think the ACC has played their way off the bubble. I think.
I have. I literally look. I'm gonna tap my chest. I was laughing. I was not mad, even though I may have sounded mad. But the ACC this entire season, I was going crazy because you couldn't talk. Everyone was talking out of both sides of their mouths. You know, they were like, Duke is here, the ACC is here.
Yeah.
And yet every game that I would watch in the ACC, even in Cameron Indoor, this ACC that was so far away from Duke would almost win the game or take them down to the last possession. So I didn't know what everyone else was seeing. But then I learned that propaganda exists. The PR machine works. And we get to the tournament, and guess what? Hey, Duke's a really good team. Shout out to them. They were right about that. But the rest of those teams that were so far removed from the stratosphere of Duke, they're pretty good too.
I will. I will say I'm supposed to be the foil to you when you get going about the ACC or North Carolina. But I'm with you on the. There was a moment this season. I think it was when Duke smacked Carolina.
Yeah, the first time around. And
it did feel like the discussions, the narrative, the whatever words you want, like the powers that be, that like the mechanism, the college basketball gods. It was wild to see that like Duke's win at North Carolina put them into the 1 seed discussion.
Yes.
While at the same time, because that was a huge win.
Huge win.
To beat
a team like North Carolina. But also a team like North Carolina
is on the bubble. Is on the wrong side of the bubble.
So horrible, has no chance to be in the tournament, should not be respected. But also, we have so much respect for Duke for blowing out the team. You're talking out of both sides.
That kept happening. That did keep happening. Like every time Duke would beat a team, you're like, "That's a great win for Duke," but also that team sucks.
Yeah,
even worse than we thought.
That team will no longer.
But also, that makes Duke better. You're like, the gap has been widened even more.
and it goes back to like all I asked for Coach K is to be a champion for the conference.
He was. He said Virginia belonged in the tournament,
and he was wrong. You know what else he said? He said Armando Bacot was the ACC Player of the Year after losing to him. He was wrong. I mean, be a champion for the league. He was right today, though, because he did believe, as we've said on this, as first reported on Titus Tate, that he was going to beat Michigan State no matter what. And Michigan State played the best game that they could play.
They played the best. Like this was, we were talking about it as this happened. We went live for a little bit, and I said this on that broadcast that this Michigan State team is, I wouldn't say it's a likable Michigan. Like they're not hateable. It's just like, when you're going into March with a Tom Izzo team, there's like a certain charm, there's a certain charisma. There's a, if they're lacking in talent, you're still like it's a group of guys you can talk yourself into, and they rebound and they play hard and whatever it is. But there's something about like the aura, the mystique of Michigan State in the tournament that you talk yourself into and you get excited about. And I didn't feel like this team had any of that all season. This was not a likable team in that regard. There was no Cassius Winston type personality or Denzel Valentine type personality that was like, drawing you in. So this to me was a forgettable Michigan State team all season. And today, at long last, there was a stretch where they take a lead, they take a 5-point lead.
Yeah.
And the way they were playing throughout the entire game, and Gabe Brown is hitting big shot after big shot, and Tyson Walker was playing great. I thought to myself, I'll be damned, they did it. They're likable. Like it's not just because they were playing Duke. It was like the way they were playing was so
Gabe
fun.
Brown was great. Marcus Bingham was great.
So I will give them credit. They salvaged their season in that regard. They salvaged their legacies of like this was like a stinker Michigan State team that. Tom Izzo, I said this to you as we were watching the game. I don't remember too many instances this season where Tom Izzo was throwing his arm around players.
Yeah.
I don't remember him even getting. He didn't really do like Aaron Henry type stuff where you and I should have had a discussion about Tom Izzo grabbing.
Is he going too far?
Has he gone too far?
Yeah.
Because we know that when Tom Izzo does that, he's doing it out of a place out of love. Yeah. And I felt like all season, like watching Tom Izzo and how he handled his team, that he didn't love his team.
It was a lot of like.
Yes.
He's like, I really like these guys.
And I felt like tonight, like if Michigan State wins this game, I really do feel like he's putting his arm around his players in the next game. There's someone. They're like Gabe Brown's getting the arm around the shoulder treatment that he loves to do with.
You asked me about the ACC, and I was trying to think about a way to describe how I felt about it. It was Tom Izzo when they were up 5 points, and Duke got 3 straight fouls called on Michigan State. That's how I felt because he was laughing. He was like, I'm not mad. I'm just laughing because of how ridiculous this is. But deep down, you're like, what is going on? How ridiculous is this? But Michigan State gave a great effort.
Great effort.
Again, I mean, Bingham and Brown are really the two guys that when you say, like, not as whatever traditionally likable, I think those are the face of the two guys.
Yeah, like those are the guys that have to step up for. I mean, Malik Hall, who was 0 for today and was a complete stinker of a game for him, but in 15 minutes. But I would throw him in the mix too. But it's Gabe Brown and Marcus Bingham, and when they're playing well and they're playing tough, Michigan State is.
And they were great today.
Yeah,
they were great today, and they earned my respect. And also Joey Hauser first reported on this program after having his career high against Davidson.
What did I say? He go 0 for 3. What did he finish?
He had 5 points.
Oh, he was 1 for 5.
Yeah.
He was 1 for 5.
So there you go. I mean, that's how it happens.
You know who was
Coach
great?
K knew.
You know who was great? You want to say maybe plug your ears, but I want to say some nice things about Duke.
Yeah, please.
Jeremy Roach was great.
Yeah, Jeremy Roach is the difference.
Jeremy Roach is the difference.
If you've been paying attention to Duke, you know that what they've always needed is a point guard.
A true point guard, a guy
on
that's
this group. Yeah,
not just a point guard, but the guy who's happy to play point guard. The guy who's like, I am totally fine in this role. I want to
help you guys do what, because Duke is, if not, I think the most selfish team in basketball that's good is Auburn. I think the second most selfish team is Duke. So you need someone that is trying to be selfless amongst this group of selfish guys. And Jeremy Roach is the perfect foil for that. He also hit a huge 3 late this game, so he has the cojones to do it. I think Mark Williams is the best player.
Mark Williams is awesome. Mark Williams is very easy to root for.
I said on this program once upon a time when we were doing the draft guide, I was like, how is this guy number 15? I see it now.
Mark Williams
I get it now. That was like in January. I do see it now.
You ask people who their favorite Duke player is. If they say Paolo Banchero, they're a basic bitch. Get him out of here.
Yeah. AJ Griffin is my favorite player.
AJ Griffin's a cool answer. Mark Williams is a cool answer. Trevor Keels is like, I know I'm not supposed to say Paolo Banchero, so I'm going to say Trevor Keels.
But Trevor Keels is like a role player.
Yeah, but that's not.
I mean, the 3 stars of Duke are Griffin, Banchero, and Williams. And in reality, when the other 2 are playing well, Duke is almost unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like if Paolo Banchero has 35 points but doesn't play a blended game and doesn't get other guys involved and plays selfishly, you actually can still beat Duke. But if those other 2 guys are playing well and they're connected, AJ Griffin and Mark Williams,
it's a wrap.
Yeah, it's a wrap. I mean, they could win the title. And I don't like to say that, but I mean, you see it.
Yeah, you do. You do see it. They are extremely talented team, and
Coach K said every game is a championship, so he's actually got 2-time champs. So these kids are now grown-ups, and they are now 2-time champions. And if they win in the Sweet 16, I'm ready to see the Kobe pose. I'm ready to see the Kobe and Shaq pose. 3-time champs, 3-peat. And then when they win the title, it's gonna be the Michael Jordan 6. So get ready for that. It's coming.
They only hang championship banners at Duke. So
how about that?
Are they going to hang?
Can we talk about that? Coach K.
They're going to hang 2 banners now?
Coach K said in a promo video on CBS where he was recorded on camera that they only hang banners that are championship banners in Cameron Indoor. And then shout out to the guy who edited the video because they immediately
I want that producer on our show.
You're that dude.
Get that guy on the show.
Yeah, you're him. You're him.
He's one of them ones.
Cut to the actual banners in there, which are like 15 vanity banners for Coach K. They have like the rank number 1 at the end of the regular season,
at the end of the season,
which basically says like we should have won, but we got cheated in the tournament.
It's a we choked banner.
Oh my God.
The final number 1 ranking banner is just basically saying we choked.
Yes, we did not win the championship as expected.
We're the number 1 team, but we choked.
It's beautiful. That's the hypocrisy.
How about Paolo tweeting that nobody said that they were going to get it out of the first weekend.
Goes back to what you said. How can everyone have this much adversity? How can everyone be doubted? And
once I want one coach or one player or one team to be like, you know what's crazy is we're moving on to the Sweet 16, and we really didn't have like any struggle at all.
Yeah.
Like there's no like this season has been a dream. We've never had any problems.
The only coach I could see doing that, and I say this sincerely, is Hubert Davis because he's so positive. Everyone's like, didn't you have a lot of adversity that you had to go through? You had guys leaving. He's like,
I don't
No, we just
know.
stayed together as a group. We kept our head down and we stayed humble. We kept working.
You know what? That's not adversity. That's life. You're like, whoa.
I'm like, dude, you're not
Shoot.
wrong. You're not
You've
wrong.
done it again. Duke moves on. Duke
Yeah.
Duke will now play Texas Tech. They got the chalk bracket, so I'll say this: toughest road. You're looking at like I look at North Carolina's path.
Oh my
North
God.
Carolina has a 4 seed, then maybe a 15 seed. Like if St.
Maybe a
Peter's
15.
pulls another upset. So Carolina would
Am
have
I
to
doing
play.
a show with Seth Greenberg right now?
Carolina would have to play a 4 and then a 15 to get to the Final Four.
Yeah.
Whereas Duke would have to play the 3 seed and then probably the 1 seed. So Carolina, very easy path to the.
This was what happened this morning. Shout out to Kevin Connors, love Kevin Connors, but Seth Greenberg today that said that Carolina got very lucky to not have to play a number 1 or the number 2 seed, having just beaten the number 1 seed. I don't know what world I live in sometimes. Sometimes I think sometimes I'm in the Truman Show and people are just screwing with me.
They really are.
And,
Because it works every time.
It triggers me. You got me. But yeah, UNC right there in the Sweet 16.
Can we talk about the first game of the day? I think that
Yeah.
was a game we had circled as potentially game of the day.
That was the worst game of the day, right?
It was probably, I don't know. Illinois tried, but the greatest fear you would have if you're an Illinois fan came true, which is that Houston just completely broke Illinois. The Illinois very undisciplined. We knew that their guards are not very good right now. We knew that. Houston plays great defense. They crashed the boards. How many offensive rebounds did they get? I mean, might have got it.
15 offensive rebounds, but it felt like more.
I feel like I remember every single one.
Yeah.
Illinois made a game of it. It was interesting there for a second. Goody comes in and hits a few shots. Melendez,
the technical foul on him really changed the game.
Melendez doesn't get a ton. That has to be the high minutes he's gotten this season.
Yeah.
I haven't watched every Illinois game, but to see Melendez playing 20 minutes, I was like, this is nuts. But it just shows you. I don't want to say desperate, but like Brad Underwood knew what he was up against and was like, we gotta throw some shit out there. And see what works. And
Also,
Melendez was working.
Yeah.
And then he gets teed up in the most bogus technical foul in maybe the history of
especially when you compare it to
NCAA
some of these other teams in Greenville, South Carolina, and that regional that were swinging all over the rim and untucking their jerseys every single time, and no one says anything.
Who's going to have the balls to call a technical foul? Mark Williams.
Or
tucking their jerseys.
Bo Borowski. And it should have been today.
It should have been today.
It should have been today, Bo.
So Houston, listen. If you've been listening to the show for the last 2 years, you know how I've felt about Houston Tate. You listen to the show, right?
I listen.
Sometimes when we talk back and forth.
I listen.
I don't hate Houston. I've never hated Houston. What I've said is I've disrespected Houston. There's a difference.
Yes.
There's
You've
a
called
difference.
them frauds. Yeah.
I've called them fraud. Like I don't. It's crazy to me how people
You've
get
called them frauds for the dodging more than anything.
People it's so weird how you call people frauds and they get like upset about that. It's like not like the
way that you look at it is like you made my list.
Why get so emotional being called fraud? Like what's the big deal?
Yeah.
No.
Why are you mad?
Why are you mad that I called you a fraud? My problem with Houston has always been that like the ducking of Gonzaga last year left a terrible taste in my mouth. It really did. I couldn't shake it. And then Houston goes on the Final Four run playing nothing but double-digit seeds. They get smacked by Baylor. I walk away from last year and I'm like, listen, I'm not a Houston hater, because if I was a Houston hater, I'd say, do not hang that banner. I will come to Houston. I will tear that banner down. You do not belong. You're not allowed to hang a Final Four banner. To my credit, I was a bigger man. I said, hang the banner.
You said you can hang that banner.
You can hang the banner. Yeah. I allowed it.
TCU. You can hang that banner.
You can hang the banner.
Almost made the Sweet 16.
And then you come into this season with Houston.
Yeah.
It's sort of the same story. Now they played in the Maui Invitational, which generally is stepping up to the plate, but like the Maui Invitational wasn't as strong as
it was also in Vegas.
The one like good team they played there is Wisconsin. They lose to Wisconsin. You start like watching throughout the season. I think they lose to Alabama. The American schedule comes along. There's like 2 teams with a pulse in the American other than Houston. It's SMU and Memphis. They lose all the time to both of them. Memphis beats them twice before the American tournament. So what am I supposed to do? You want me to sit here and like really? I mean, like Ken Palm's taking a victory lap because his metrics said that Houston was great, and the committee obviously agreed with me and gave Houston a 5 seed because they're like, who has this team beaten all season?
They
get excited about.
Yeah.
But like, what do you want me to do? You want me to live in a theoretical world? Is that what you want from me? Like you want? So what I'm saying, Tate, is all I've wanted for 2 years is to see Houston beat a really good team. They still haven't done that. Illinois is a fraud. But
Yeah.
I'm going to be the bigger man and say that you smoked Illinois and you did it convincingly and you did it with a style of play that was infectious, frankly. And a lot of people watching were like, I don't see the big deal with Houston. Houston's a fun team. They are a fun team. I just wanted to see it at like a level that wasn't against like freaking Tulane and East Carolina. That's all I want.
Yeah, and Houston has something to hang their hat on. The problem with Illinois is that they have literally nothing. They don't even know how they're going to play going into a game.
They're the real frauds.
Yeah.
Illinois is fraudulent.
And Illinois has been stuck on this page in the book. First off, when, this all started, Illinois was at the bottom of the Big Ten 4 or 5 years ago. Brad Underwood comes in. Now they're competing in the Big Ten. Now, last year they win the Big Ten tournament. So the turnaround for Illinois has been great. It's been quick. It's been swift. But on the flip side of that, they've been stuck in this Kofi world that we've been in, and it's not helping either party. Kofi doesn't look happy to be there. Obviously, it has stalled out.
We've been on an island all year, you and I, because we're I guess anti-Kofi would be the way to describe it. Like, we think Illinois might be better without Kofi Coburn because you can actually empower your guards, and that's.
I think today, if this kind of was a microcosm of the whole experience, it was like, Kofi, we have you out there to get these we have you out there to get these rebounds. Like, how are these guys flying in while you're standing right there and getting easy putback, and then you're mad about it, so then you don't try on offense, and then there's the sixth cycle, and then we can't bench you because if we do, you quit on the game.
And then we complain about it, and then Illinois fans are in the chat or tweeting at us, and they're saying Kofi had 19 and 8, he had no help, and why would you blame this on Kofi?
Yeah.
And around and around it goes, and Illinois never does anything.
Yes.
And then they lose in the second round of the NCAA tournament. And here we are again. And I think you're right. We just went off the ride.
Yeah.
Kofi transferred to Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly.
Go transfer to Kentucky.
Or just go to the league.
Go to the league.
Do whatever you got to do. But also,
I don't know what league, but go.
But stop being like the gravitational pull of Kofi for the entire program. Everything is about Kofi. Let's run pick and roll with Corbella so we can get Kofi involved. It was like every decision is made to placate Kofi.
To placate a guy that is pulled from like 1987. His style of play.
I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air, and I think that's why I was excited to see some of these younger guys play because at least they didn't fully turn the page today, Illinois.
Yeah.
But it felt like we were starting to flip it.
Yeah.
And that's good. So.
Houston moves on, and as we said at the top, talking about Arizona TCU game, that is a great matchup for Houston. I'm salivating if I'm Houston. I think you're watching.
I'm Arizona. I watched that TCU tape, and if I'm Tommy Lloyd's a really good basketball coach. We saw that late in the game, calls a timeout, draws up a beautiful play that gets a backdoor to Benedict Mathurin. And at that moment in time, I was like, Tommy Lloyd, you passed the test.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to pass the test. He's going to teach these guys, hey, this is the tournament. These guys are going to get physical with you. They're going to try to rough you up. That's what the tape says. I'm ready for it.
I don't think this is an X and O's game. I don't think it's going to be a finesse. This is just like how the cojones of Arizona. We're going to find out.
Yeah.
They're going to come try to turn this into a rock.
I would sit Creasa.
Dude.
Let him get 100%. He's not 100%. Why even put him out there and put him in a position to not do well? So
let's move on. Let's talk about Wisconsin, Iowa State. Iowa State just not a fun game to watch, to be completely honest. But Iowa State has figured out a formula that they play great. They have Kimba candidates up and down the roster because every time I watch Iowa State play, they play insane defense, or at least the other team goes cold and has an off night. And I guess at a certain point, you
give credit.
You start to give credit to the defense.
Same with Houston. That was kind of the early thing with Houston. Was like, well, a lot of teams just kind of struggle against them. It's like, well, I think that has something to do with that. Yeah.
And then the thing with Iowa State too is there seems to be one guy that steps up and is the Kimba candidate of the
Brockington or whoever.
It was Tyrese Hunter the other night, hitting big shots. He's a Wisconsin kid, so going into this game, he said he wasn't recruited by Wisconsin. So I was like, are we getting another big Tyrese Hunter game? The two things I didn't think about is Gabe Kalsher and Isaiah Brockington are both Big Ten transfers. Kalsher's from Minnesota, Tate.
Yeah.
He grew up in Minnesota, went to Minnesota, has no love for Wisconsin, had a monster game today.
Yep.
The other guy who stepped up a little bit was Isaiah Brockington going, he's their best player, so he kind of always steps up. But he had 4 turnovers, but whatever. Had 10 points for them. Iowa State is, it's been an up and down season, but they are a team. I was reminded of this today. Have not lost a game outside of Big 12 play. Yeah. They are undefeated. They were undefeated going into Big 12 play. They took their licks in conference, but now here they are marching on to the Sweet 16. It's a fun story. They won 2 games last year.
Also, TJ Otzelberger. We love to
I'm starting a program. He's
your guy.
He's the first call I make.
All right. I think I'm right there with you. I think he's the guy. He's also a Coach of the Year candidate, right? I mean, he's in the conversation. I think
Yeah.
Tommy Lloyd is the Coach of the Year, but we got Ed Cooley, we got Otzelberger. I mean, we got a lot of guys we can throw into the mix. And you mentioned former Big Ten guys that felt good at going against Big Ten teams. Marcus Carr also, and I saw a lot of people saying like Marcus Carr looks great against Purdue. Of course he does.
Yeah,
Like,
he's not scared of it.
very
He's like, I know
comfortable.
all these dudes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know these dudes.
He's like, who we playing? Purdue? Perfect.
Do you feel bad about Wisconsin? Do you feel?
No.
Does any part of you think like, man, this kind of
No.
because it was kind of a magical run they were on this year, winning the Big Ten, and they came out. They were picked to finish 10th. They win the conference.
Yeah.
Johnny Davis emerges out of nowhere, has an awesome year.
I feel
Brad
bad for
Davis
Johnny.
and his last go round. R.I.P. I swear this is the last time. This has to be the last.
It was very.
Brad's not coming.
Yeah,
back.
Brad can't come back. If he comes back, I don't know what. Maybe as a coach. Yeah, this felt very anticlimactic, but it felt like when Johnny got hurt, that was kind
He
of.
never did like
Yeah.
fully come back. I never talked myself into Johnny Davis being 100%. Maybe he was, and he just like.
When I saw him in the first game against Colgate, he took a 3 and he airballed it so bad he chased down the airball and got it before it went out of bounds. That's when I said, okay, Johnny basketball is not here. He's trying to win on 70%. So this was kind of an anticlimactic ending for him. I'm excited to see what's next for him. I'm also excited to see what's next for Brad.
What other games have we not hit? We haven't talked Texas Purdue, who Purdue 46-12 free throws. Do I have that right? 46-12. Your thoughts, Tate?
I was trying to find the most free throws in a tournament game. I couldn't figure it out. I found the most in a regular season game, which was 79. So, yeah, think about that. Could you imagine? Like we talk about ref shows.
Was it James Harden?
It was in the 50s also. Did you imagine? Like what kind of fix was in 1953 to get 79?
Was it Wilt?
throws?
Was it a Wilt game?
It must be.
Everything's a Wilt game.
Yeah.
Every insane stat from the 50s is Wilt Chamberlain.
79 free throws. But yeah, I mean, Purdue, the story of the game was that Purdue persevered. I mean, Texas gave them a real scare. Texas, I mean, they played a lot better in the tournament than I expected, but Purdue was the better basketball team. I think that was pretty obvious.
Trevion Williams
discrepancy is pretty wild, though. I've never seen something like that.
Trevion Williams was awesome all game, and then Jaden Ivey took over at the end. And that's the formula we expect to see from Purdue. They played better defense, by the way, tonight for stretches. You know, like they let Marcus Carr get going there for a second. But
we also pointed out when we were watching, they were talking about Matt Painter and the courage that he had to start Zach Edey over Trevion Williams, and that decision feels like it kind of was a cloud over this team a little bit. But when push comes to shove and Purdue needs to be the best version of themselves, I think it starts with those two guys, Trevion and Jaden. And Edey, is a nice like additive. He's like this. How can you game plan for this guy? How can you match up with this guy? It's a nice wrinkle. But when these two guys are on, Purdue is the title type team that we expect.
I can't get myself to take Purdue seriously as a national title threat yet.
Yeah.
But I think did we ultimately arrive on Purdue making the Final Four as a success? And I think their fans are happy, and that's the goal. And at this point, I mean, you look up and you play a 15 seed in the Sweet 16, and then you're playing either UCLA or Carolina to get to the Final Four. The bracket has broken wide open for Purdue.
Broken right for you.
Yeah, this is the best opportunity they've ever had under Matt Painter to make the Final Four.
If you're Purdue,
I've ran the numbers. I can't figure out how this could go wrong for Purdue. It's there for the take.
All I have to say is if you're Purdue and you face North Carolina, you've already beat that team. I mean, that you could not ask for a better draw. You know what I mean? Like, if
what about the John Wooden matchup?
I love that
Purdue
too.
And UCLA.
I think Purdue. I mean,
I don't know.
Purdue should win that game, but also Mick Cronin will make. You know how we talk about Purdue sometimes they don't have the discipline. They're going to have that if they played UCLA.
Texas Tech beats Notre Dame. Blake Wesley has a few regrettable plays down.
He's coming back.
He was good for Notre Dame to be in that position anyway. And Notre Dame is a fun team, and we really like Mike Bray on this show. So I'm not going to say too many bad.
Shout out to Tyler.
Yeah.
Notre Dame guy in here with us.
So Texas Tech is going to match up with Duke, and how do we feel about that? I mean, obviously it's the chalk matchup. I think Texas Tech. It plays so differently from Duke in the sense that they are defensive minded. Duke is not. They are physical. It's the same story that Duke. Every single team that Duke is going to play in this tournament, including Gonzaga, including Arizona, if they play them, Duke is going to be more talented than them. So why not have a team like Texas Tech that knows full well that Duke is more talented than them and is just going to try to I mean, kind of do what Houston might try to do to Arizona and just punk them, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. I mean, the Big 12 in general, as we saw against TCU, against Arizona, The Big 12 is, I think we can all say, is the best, basketball conference based on what we've seen in this tournament so far, if you really want to extrapolate something from it, which I find a little ridiculous at times, but there you go. Texas Tech is going to make Duke earn it. And at times, as much as I joke about this Duke team, at times they don't want to get in the mud. At times they don't want to do the dirty work. They like the flexing and they like the shooting the arrows and all that stuff. No time for that with this team. There will be no times for hanging on the rims. And if you look at a picture of John Wooden and you really squint, you can see Mark Adams. And I think that in a world where John Wooden has to preserve his GOAT status, you need someone to step up for you. So Texas Tech is that team.
I'm gonna mention that Villanova beat Ohio State because I know everyone's waiting on me for bringing that up.
I honestly had forgotten.
To be completely honest with you,
shout out Villanova.
That wasn't even a strategy for me to not talk about it because I was sad. What the worst part about this game is that I have nothing to say. It's like Villanova was better. Yeah. Villanova. It's like I was hoping for a situation where we get blown out and I could cry about like how miserable that was to lose by 30. I wasn't actually hoping for that, but like
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Or it was a close game and we choked down the stretch or something happened that
you had a shot or whatever. Yeah.
But this was just simply Villanova's a better team and Colin Gillespie's fat ass backing down guys in the post happened all game and Samuels was great and Daniels and like all those dudes. Justin Moore, who I was scared of, didn't even play that well, and Villanova is just like a freaking machine. And I don't know. I caught myself. I was in a situation down the stretch where I was like, all right, if we can just keep this close and get Villanova to turn the ball over and miss free throws, it would be good. And then I heard myself say that out loud, and I was like, oh, we're screwed.
Yeah, they're
not missing free those or turning the ball over. So
it's going to take a lot to knock off Villanova, and Ohio State has the talent, obviously. But the way that the Villanova played today, there was really no chance.
Shout out Kyle Young, who is like the Austin Collie of Ohio State basketball. That like every time the wind blows too strong, he is concussed, and I don't.
You guys were in the game late, and then he took a shot, and then had to go out for concussion protocol.
It's the worst paradox ever because he's the toughest son of a bitch that you've ever seen, but yet he also is.
Which is also like the doctor's nightmares when they ask him, they're like, "Are you good? Is your bell rung?" And he's like, "I'm good. I'm good." And you're like, "Definitely not.
Definitely not. Get this man out of here."
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we touched on all the games. Moving forward, give us. Let's do a little Sweet 16 preview real quick. We'll wrap this thing up and get out of here because it's been a long weekend. But
I can't believe this is a great first weekend. I can't believe it was just the first weekend.
Great first weekend. We have a great Sweet 16 set up. Anything you could ask for. If you're a Cinderella person, you got St. Peter's. If you're
Chalk, Blue Blood.
Chalk, you got the
Gonzaga, Arizona, Duke.
You got the West. Yeah. If you're someone who likes teams that were counted out and then are now back. You got Michigan, you got your Iowa States, your
UNC,
UCLA, and UNC are both that way a little bit. That they were,
people laughed at me when I had UCLA going to the Final Four, like it was a joke.
Yeah,
but we believed.
Who's laughing now? I believed in my other bracket. I'll tell you that much. I did have UCLA in my other bracket. I swear.
You also had St. Peter's. That was a big call.
No one's talking about that. I had St. Peter's in my other bracket. I did.
Jim also had it.
So I'm going to ask you this: as you look at this, we could talk about things we're excited about, but why do that? Let's save that for another show. Go watch another show.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options out there. You can find them if you want. What we do on this show is we're haters, so let's do a haters guide to the Sweet 16 take because Duke is obviously going to take a lot of our attention.
Yes.
What else are we rooting for in this? What are haters looking at in this Sweet 16 and saying like
the haters want to see Michigan win. The haters want to see
They want to see Michigan win?
Yeah.
The haters want to see Michigan win.
The haters are pulling for Michigan.
The haters are pulling for Michigan.
Yes.
I'm gonna say the haters are pulling for Michigan.
They want Michigan to win.
That can't be true. You're out of your mind.
The haters love Michigan.
You're out of your mind.
They love Duke.
Well, I'm a hater, and you're not.
You're saying we're the haters. I was saying our haters. What are our haters?
No, I'm not saying our haters. I'm saying
we're the haters.
Yeah,
my God.
I'm not saying our haters. I'm saying people. I'm saying people that watch college basketball with hatred in their heart.
Yes.
What are they like? Wait, what are they cheering? Like what I'm saying is there are a lot of. Obviously, we cut the field in half, Tate. A lot of these teams are out now. So if you're a San Diego State fan and you're like, tell me what to watch now. Like, what do I? And nobody's gonna watch saying like I'm cheering for this other than cheering against. You know what I'm saying?
I think everyone, if you're a hater, you're cheering against Gonzaga winning the title. That's one of the hater things. You're trying to make
that
sure
would be a hater
Gonzaga
thing. Yeah,
does not win a national championship.
Duke is obviously at the top of the hater power.
Yes,
Like we're making sure Duke does not make the Final Four.
Yep.
I think Gonzaga not winning a national title is a hater move. Michigan, Juwan Howard struck a man. He has to be on the list.
Yeah, he's on there.
What else would be on there? I think Kansas is a blue blood in a 1 seed. So probably cheering for chaos upsets.
The haters are cheering against both Carolina and UCLA, but one team has to win, so no one knows, but they're pulling against both of them.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think Houston is a likable team for the general fan. I think they would like to see a Houston.
For whatever reason, I think Villanova has some vitriol. I think they get some hate. I think there's some people that's like, I've seen this before.
I think we're one more title away for Villanova
to get turned on.
To get just go nuclear.
Because Raleigh Massimino, that 1985 title, it carries so much cachet. And honestly, when you talk to old heads, they immediately think of that fun team that had this major upset over Patrick Ewing, obviously. So,
because here's the arc of Jay Wright. He wins the first title, and the first title just says he doesn't suck like we thought he did.
Yeah.
Because he had a bad reputation forever.
Great shot. You know what I mean? It's like this moment.
Then the second title is I actually respect him now.
Yes.
Then the third title is I hate this man.
Yes.
And he's won way too much.
He's won too much.
Yeah.
He's winning too much.
What about you? What about Carolina? So what are the nightmare situations for Carolina? Because you were
There's only one.
If you lose to UCLA, you're just gonna tip your cap.
Yeah.
So I pitched the idea of a segment called Cap Tip or Salty Bitch, and I give you a hypothetical team that knocks out Carolina, and you tell me whether you're tipping your cap or whether you're.
I'm a tip of the cap kind of guy, but the only team that would make me be an SB would be Duke. Duke in the Final Four. One is what the world and
it's what the world wants.
I think it's what the Illuminati wants.
It's what the world wants.
And
Carolina,
I think they're like setting me up for slaughter as I like look around. I'm like, this is you asked it, you're like, who's gonna say like this has been too good? Everything's just been a little too sweet. And no matter what happens in the Final Four, I have to reiterate, no matter what Coach K would do to Carolina in the Final Four, it will never take away the fact that the last game in Cameron Indoor, he lost to your North Carolina.
That's not true. If Coach
K
beats you in the Final Four,
it is true. No matter what, no matter what,
the
last time that he played on his court, we beat him. But if it does happen in the Final Four in New Orleans, I am going to need a Xanax. I mean, I don't.
That's gonna be.
I don't know what else I could do.
Win or lose, it's gonna be the greatest day in the history of the show.
Oh, I'm dressing up like a boo brother. I'm going to the game in New Orleans. I am literally going to lose my voice.
I can't.
Whatever it takes.
It's not going to happen. There's no way it could happen.
There has been so many times that we were on a collision course, North Carolina and Duke in the NCAA tournament, because I've seen a lot of people write stories. They're 2 games away. We've been 2 games away from Duke multiple times. In the best case scenario, you ask the worst case, best case scenario, North Carolina gets to the Final Four. We're waiting for Duke. We're like, bring it on. We feel good. We want to play these losers. And then the losers lose. And then they don't go to the Final Four. And then forever, not only did we beat the losers in Coach K's last home game, but then the losers couldn't even get to the Final Four to play us.
I think Duke plays before you, so I don't think that's going to happen. But I hear what you're saying.
Best case.
I hear what you're saying.
I said best case. Throw out the schedules. Best case scenario.
Is that it? I think we touched on everything. I mean, as you said, the Sweet 16 is awesome. Oh, I want to say this. We are doing. If you're someone watching, you're a fan of one of these 16 teams, and you're already making your Final Four plans like Tate is, where he's already looking ahead and saying, "I can't wait to get to New Orleans."
No, UCLA's got it. UCLA's got it.
Watch the Tar Heels.
John Wooden game.
We are going to be in New Orleans. We are doing a live show on Thursday of Final Four week. We are doing a live show at the Nopsey Hotel. It is halfway between Bourbon Street and the Superdome. It's right in the thick of everything.
Nice.
We're
in it.
Yeah. Are you aware of this?
I am aware of it.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't know how to pronounce the hotel. Honestly.
Nopsey, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
We are going to be doing a live show. We have a link that you can go get tickets on.
You go to our Twitter and then you see there's a link there. It's Eventbrite. You click on it.
Yeah.
We'll tweet it as well. We'll put it, all the places. But
we're gonna be doing a live show. It's gonna be a ton of fun. That's Thursday, leading into the Final Four. We have to do it on Thursday because we have obligations on Friday, so it's a little early in the week. I understand.
Yeah.
But you'll be there Thursday. Take the week off.
We're going to dinner with Bruce Pearl on Friday.
Yeah, we got a dinner reservation. So
he wants to learn how to be a real bad guy.
If you are planning on going to the Final Four, please come check us out. Come to the live show. We're gonna try to get some guests. We don't even want to float the idea of guests because I think it's gonna be a last minute call, and we're just gonna
Yeah.
see who's there.
I have asked for Will Wade. No one.
We have put in a
no
request
one,
for Will
No
Wade.
one has come back.
We have talked. I shit you not. We have talked to Will Wade's people and
Yeah.
said we want Will Wade, and they said give it a little bit of time. Let it cool down.
We
We're like,
also
"No, we got time."
we're not sure if they're Will Wade's people. We don't even know what
Yeah,
Will
we
Wade's
don't know
people
what it's-
necessarily means.
So there's that. Is there anything else? Any party shots? Jim, do you have anything?
We'll be back next week doing this again every night. Thursday,
I didn't know if that was a
Friday,
question. Like he was
Saturday,
asking
Yeah.
us, like, does he have to
Sunday.
work next weekend?
Jim,
Jim, you have to work.
Jim, how did the first time watching an NCAA tournament in your life? How did you
How'd you feel?
enjoy it?
Was it like the NIT?
It was good. That woman on Iowa is really good.
Caitlin Clark?
Yeah,
I love her.
yeah, she's
The
really
KD of college
Why aren't we
basketball.
talking about Caitlin Clark?
We need more. Honestly, if I was an Iowa fan, that's all I would. If someone asked me like what
Pivot away
happened in the
from-
tournament, I'd say Caitlin's doing great. What are you talking about?
By the way, I'm going to speak on behalf of the whole Big Ten. A lot of piling on the Big Ten today.
Yeah.
Some
Some have said it's the Pac-12 with better distribution.
Dude, you
That's
wanna
what the
talk-
haters are saying.
Pac-12. We did Pac-12 update last year. Pac-12 dominated the
Dominated.
tournament. We did ACC update this year because the ACC was a joke, dominating the tournament.
It turns out never a joke. Turns
Turns
out
out-
that the college basketball media powers that be, they're idiots.
But I wanted to say the
Who
Big
would've
Ten. My final thought is the Big Ten. A lot of piling on going on the Big Ten conference, and I just want to point out that none of these were upsets except for Iowa and Wisconsin.
hmm So it's their fault.
Ohio State wasn't upset. Michigan State wasn't upset. Houston was favored against Illinois.
How many Big Ten
Indiana
teams?
loses
There's
to
two-
St. Mary's. They weren't supposed to be. So everyone's upset because they're like, well, how many times do we have to do this where we overhype the Big Ten? And I just want to say
Yeah.
who was overhyping the Big Ten? Nobody thought the Big Ten was good this year.
Well, I have a question
Nobody
for
talked
you.
about the Big Ten. Being
How many Big Ten teams are in the Sweet 16? 2, right?
1/8 of the Sweet 16 is Big Ten
It's
teams.
2.
That's a lot.
How many SEC teams?
Oh, that's a great point. 1.
One that I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? Why aren't we talking about
why
the
are we
SEC?
talking about the SEC? They're the
Hey,
they're the
Because
loudest.
welcome to the Alliance.
Yeah.
Why aren't we talking about the
Alliance,
SEC?
Alliance.
Why aren't we talking about the SEC?
We will say goodbye with that. Congratulations to all the teams that made the Sweet 16. Hang the banners. We're so happy for you. We are going to be back next week. This tournament is not over, folks.
Yes.
There's more basketball left to be played. We're going to be
Not over.
covering it all. See you guys.
Can't wait.